love affair between Jack and Inez is
Enos.
Enos.
Inez.
Penis.
Whoa. Where did Inez come into the story?
Enos.
My grandma's name.
This is the first time I've ever heard the name Enos. It doesn't sound
You
right.
didn't watch the movie?
Well, okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Popcorn Revolver, where three dudes talk about movies that we like and sometimes don't like. My name is Ben, and I am one of your three hosts.
Hi, I'm Mitch. I am also one of your three hosts.
And hello, I will be your host for the I'm your host with the most, Lucas.
Great. If you're new here, every month each of us picks movies based on a theme, and then we talk about it. And this month's theme is Bittersweet movies. We just started it, and the first pick for this theme is Lucas's pick, the 2005 film Brokeback Mountain.
Yes.
Yeah, 2005 Brokeback Mountain.
Yeehaw, boys.
Yeehaw, indeed.
Brokeback Mountain. Released in 2005 and directed by Ang Lee, Brokeback Mountain is a sweeping romantic drama about two men whose lives become permanently intertwined after a summer working together in rural Wyoming. The story begins in 1963 when Enos Del Mar, played by Heath Ledger, and Jack Twist, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, are hired as ranch hands to herd sheep on Brokeback Mountain. Isolated from the world and bound by long days and cold nights, their working relationship slowly evolves into an unexpected and intense romantic connection. When the summer ends, both men return to their separate lives. Enos marries Alma, and Jack later marries Laureen. They attempt to conform to society's expectations, building families and trying to suppress what happened on the mountain. But neither can fully let go. Over the next 20 years, Enos and Jack reunite in secret fishing trips that serve as cover for their continued relationship. Their love persists through distance, fear, and repression. Enos, shaped by trauma and the violent homophobia witnessed as a child, struggles deeply with vulnerability and the possibility of openly loving Jack. As time passes, their connection becomes both lifeline and burden. Choices made out of fear and survival echo throughout their lives, leading to heartbreak that is quiet, devastating, and shitty. Brokeback Mountain. Brokeback Mountain is ultimately a tragic love story, one about longing, repression, masculinity, and the cost of a world that denies people the right to love freely.
Solid.
Claps.
Longer than I thought. My bad.
It's all good.
Yeah, that had some meat on its bones. Every movie we like to make a marquee. It's a movie, blurb. Just to kind of give our thoughts on it, our initial thoughts. If you're new here, which you're probably not. You're probably from Poland and you probably like Joe Rogan. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Dimitri.
Oh my God. What if you got their name right?
Yeah, what if his name is actually Dimitri? Anyway, I'll go first. Mine's not very good. Brokeback Mountain. Jake Gyllenhaal and sheep.
Hey. That's a stunner.
I'm proud of mine. Should I go last or next?
Yeah,
You should
sure.
go last. Yeah.
Last? Okay.
Should you go last or next? Lucas goes, sure.
Brokeback Mountain. Hold on. No, I'm good.
Brokeback Mountain. I'm sick of these beans, Enos. And by beans, I mean making love to Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, amazing. I forgot how many people are in this movie that are very well famous.
Fucking David Arbor's in it.
Yeah.
Or Harbor.
Yeah, Hopper.
Yeah. Jim.
Well, boys, let's get into some questions. Before we get into the questions, though, was this your first time watching it? How many times have you seen it? What would you rate it?
You're the best. You're the best. What should I do
yeah,
next?
yeah.
I remember seeing this sometime in high school, I want to say, because my mom had the DVD and I remember hearing about it. And so I think I just watched it one night on a whim. And I remember really liking it as a young man. And I mean, I think also it was probably my first exposure to like queer cinema in a way. I don't know if it shaped any of my feelings. I think subconsciously it probably did and was important for me. But I hadn't thought about it in a while, and it came up in a conversation, and I was really glad when, Lucas, you picked it for this batch of episodes.
Very cool. Let's go your mom. Funny thing is, when it was first released, because of it being a story about queer people and not knowing how well it was going to do at the box office, they had a limited release in only, I think it was like 4 locations in New York, LA, and San Francisco. Very huge queer hubs and cosmopolitan cities. But then after that, the women really took off as like big fans of the movie and helped the movie grow like crazy. So women like your mom, Mitch, saved this movie.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Ben?
I had never seen this movie before. This was my first watch, and it's also my introduction to queer cinema.
This is your first ever time seeing a gay person.
I didn't even know men could kiss each other. That's crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, I've never seen this movie before. I've heard about it. It's like the seminal, gay movie. Is one of the first. Well, not like one of the first ones, but like a first blockbuster mainstream fucking
Yeah.
gay movie. And yeah, I what I remember about it is people talking about Heath Ledger like he's fucking Superman, and I never knew why, because the only thing I'd seen him in was The Dark Knight, which he did
Which he's
great
great in
in.
that.
He's great in that. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but he's not really Heath Ledger-y in that. Heath Ledger's a lot cuter when he's not being the Joker, baby.
Oh, Ben, you got to watch Knight's Tale then. You got to watch, that's like the quintessential
I have heard.
Heath Ledger film.
I've heard. I'm trying to think if I've seen any other Ang Lee movies.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Life
haven't
of
seen
Pi.
that. Nope.
2003's Hulk.
I've seen that, but I do not remember it at all.
Sense and Sensibility.
No, I think I might have. Well, I haven't seen Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, but I do know that it was shot at 60 frames per second, and it makes people very uncomfortable. So yeah, I guess this is my first introduction to Ang Lee as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen many of Ang Lee's films besides Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Life of Pi.
Taiwanese filmmaker.
Yeah. This is going to be a discussion where I'm going to be learning a lot because I'm inexperienced with the director and the film.
All right, boys. You ready to get into it?
Yeah, get into it.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to start with some hard hitters. First question. Were they roommates?
I mean,
Seriously,
sort
I'm
of.
just trying to know.
They're sort of roommates. Yeah,
They shared a
they share
tent.
yeah.
But
History
they didn't
would say
need
that they
to.
were roommates.
They didn't need to share the tent. They did that. In fact, it was against the rules. One of them was supposed to hang out with a sheep.
Yeah. Okay, no, but for real. So this is a $14 million budget. After doing so many small budget films, how did it feel stepping back into something with a little more weight with it?
I mean, even for 2005 though, like 14 million is like a very small budget. But yes, I mean, there's a lot of help from the setting in rural Wyoming. If you're not from the West and you have no idea what Wyoming looks like, it is drop dead gorgeous.
It wasn't shot in Wyoming, by the way. It was shot
Alberta,
in Canada.
Canada. The setting, you know.
Canada's also very beautiful.
Ang Lee lied to me. You know, it was funny because like as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, it was shot in Alberta. Damn it. But anyway, the scenery helps a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see something with a little bit more money for like costumes, which is a big part of this film, I would say. The rodeos, it all feels very authentic. It feels very of the West, with a vision, and that was really nice.
Yeah, one thing I noticed and really liked about the movie is it's the way it's edited, which the story, the actual like love affair between Jack and Inez is
Enos.
Inez.
Inez.
Penis.
Whoa. Where did Inez come into the story?
My grandma's name.
This is the first time I've ever heard the name Enos. It doesn't sound
You didn't
right.
watch the movie?
Well, okay. Yeah, that's a good point. But their love affair is almost like a background thing, and you could argue that like the main narrative of the story, Jesus Christ. You could argue that the main focus of the story is on how their affair affects the rest of their lives. And the actual film takes place over the course of a really big chunk of their lives.
20 years.
Yeah, to condense that down into the 2 hours and 7 minutes, I think, that the movie runs for, you have to cut back and forth between a lot of different things. You just get like little snapshots of their lives. And that, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed just getting the good stuff, getting the points of their lives that actually matter. It made the moments where they're together feel a lot more. It felt like there was bigger stakes to them because it felt like you were seeing things that were actually important. The part that how this relates to the budget is that when you do that, you have to film a lot of footage. You have to cover a lot of scenes, and there's a lot of shit going on. Not only like the costumes and the sets and stuff, but also just traveling throughout the country and making your actors look older, all that kind of shit. That eats up a lot of money, and it's you can tell when you watch it. I mean, they have one tiny little shot where they had to go to Mexico or go to some place that looks like Mexico.
Alberta.
It's also Alberta. Alberta.
But yeah, no, I see the budget in the costuming and, you know, making people old, and like that doesn't, I didn't think about it, but it does make sense that when you do have something that is like heavily edited, or like you have a lot of you're trying to show a lot of time span in such a short amount of time, you do have to film a lot to cut back on. But those costumes were cool. It was cool to see them like go from like late 60s into you know, the 70s, and I think they got to the 80s.
Yeah, I think so too.
It is good. And that part I also enjoyed because you're in this location that's sort of untouched by time. The great American West is sort of timeless, you know? But you could see little snippets of where it gets a little more modern and where it like the time creeps up on you. I thought that was cool. Mm-hmm.
Well, last light question. Do you guys think that you could do this job?
No fucking way.
City boy.
As a younger man, I would have said yes. Today, I am too lazy for that kind of manual labor.
Yeah. It could be fun, though.
If you can hear me, I can't hear you. My headphones just died. Hold on.
I'm professional.
I'm prepared for just such an occasion.
This guy. He's so
We really should drop him.
Yeah, fired.
Yeah.
We can just have like
Replace him.
we can just have his laugh on a soundboard.
Yeah. Just press it every time we say something remotely funny.
All right, we're back.
Oh, we're back.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So do you think you could do this job?
No, I can't haul sheep. I don't even know how you pick up a sheep.
It seemed pretty easy. You just kind of grab it by the legs, is what they did a lot. They like ragdoll those sheep.
You hoist it over your shoulders, like what?
Yeah. As a young person, I could do this, but like in a relationship now, like I don't want to leave for, months at a time. And also like, yeah, the staying at camp is fine and all, but like being asked to go up and like illegally sleep on the top of the mountain with no campfire, like that would be shitty. And then that one scene where all the sheep mix with the other group's sheep and they have to like separate them out.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
Huge pain in the ass. Tough day at the office for sure.
Yeah.
This is why property rights are bullshit.
Agreed. All right. So being gay or queer, because I don't want to specifically label them as gay, in the 1960s in rural Wyoming, nonetheless, with no apps or no like gay bars or community centers, no safety net, it's a very difficult thing. Everything had to be subtle. There were double meanings, incremental movement, and slowly opening up to each other. Did you notice any moments early on in Jack and Enos's getting to know each other where coded communication was happening?
We established this in the Shiva Baby episode. My gaydar is atrocious. And the first time I realized that they're like, I knew they were gay because I know what the movie, or at least queer, because I knew what the movie was about. But the first time where I was like, oh shit, is when Jack puts Enos's arm around him in the tent. And I was like, oh, fuck. it's on, baby.
Yeah. I similarly had not, it'd been a while since I'd seen it, and I didn't really remember how the love or the relationship blossoms. And, I almost thought like, because the scene Ben is alluding to where they finally like get physical in the tent, I thought it was going to build up from there, as in like it all happens on a cold night and Enos is out by the fire and Jack says, come on, get in here, it's cold, basically. And then he makes a move. And when he invited him in, I thought that was like really going to be the beginning, not like the beginning. Because they get down immediately in that tent that night. So yeah, same. I would say I was blindsided because I'd seen the movie before, but I didn't pick up on any cues. So I'm curious to see what you saw, Lucas.
Yeah, and I will say it does pick up quick. I do remember, it's been a while since I watched the movie, like the first time, when I was a kid, and it was like life-changing, but also I couldn't talk about it to anyone. It like
Wait, it was life-changing?
Oh yeah, seeing that movie, like seeing gay men or like queer men being physical, like having these sweet moments of like cuddling and like being away from the world and like letting go, that was like very affirming of what I was feeling and being like, holy shit, there's other people out there. Like, oh my God. And
you're like,
not
I
in a
could
way
fuck
of like,
Heath Ledger. That's in the cards.
if only. But like, it was something that at the time it was just like, I've seen depictions of homosexuality in a lot of like, in growing up in the church in negative light. So seeing it in a positive light or in a very realistic light was really, really changing for me.
That's cool.
But yeah, no, in terms of the coded communication, there's a couple of things that stood out to me. Jack Twist, which first of all, great name. It's a very Western name.
I agree. It's fantastic.
he's always complaining about the fact that their boss is making them sleep up on the tent. And I think, yeah, there's like a part of it that's real, like that's shitty and annoying that we have to do that and it's illegal. Why they shouldn't, like, he has no position making us do that. But I think Jack is the one who's pushing to be like, you know what's a good solution for all of our problems? We should share a tent. Like, he's like talking about how they won't get much sleep, and you know, he complained so much about his position that then Enos is like, okay, like if you want to be the cook and stay at the base camp, then like you can be the cook and we'll switch. And he's like, we could both stay here at camp. And Enos is like, no, and goes up to the top of the mountain. In my mind, I think Jack's character is more aware of his own sexuality than Enos's character.
Oh,
and
yeah.
is, you know, he's on the hunt in a in a real way.
He's down bad.
The night before the tent scene, they're talking about like their religion. He grows up, I believe, a
Pentecostal.
Pentecostal. Thank
A
you. He grows up
pescatarian?
Pentecostal. He's a pescatarian now. So he grew up Pentecostal while Enos's family was Methodist. They talk about how fellas like you and me will go off to hell after dying. Mm-hmm. And Enos says, you might be a sinner, but I haven't had the opportunity. This is after they have been drinking a lot for the night. And I think it's like this coded wording and talking of like, maybe you have had experiences, but I have not been able to.
Interesting.
Nice pickup. But yeah, I didn't
Yeah, I
pick
didn't
up on
get that
that.
either. This might be a little bit off base or like a non-observation, but I'm just curious. Since Jack is the one who is more aware or experienced in his sexuality at the beginning, do you think it's interesting or significant that they made Enos the top in the sex scene?
I think it makes sense. I think like we'll kind of get to this more, but like when someone is exploring their queerness first off, and you know, besides like the fear of like being attacked or hate or disowned from family, there's also this like internal question of your own masculinity. You know, queerness is associated with femininity or whatever, and then there's this whole stereotype that the bottom is the woman, which makes no sense because they're both men. But for people that are first exploring, it might be easier to explore being a top or in the more traditionally masculine role because they're like, you know, I'm not gay, I'm sticking my dick in a hole.
I just think, yeah, I don't know, because like the act of taking initiative, it's right there in the wording. It is an inherently dominant behavior, like putting someone else's arm around you, taking that. Maybe that's wrong. That's not really dominant, but it is like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Wait, you're saying that Jack is taking the initiative?
Yeah, Jack's taking the initiative, and like I feel like the first thing that would pop into your head if you were writing this, especially like as a straight guy, would be, okay, the one who's making all the advances is the one who's going to top, right? But the fact that he makes all these advances and then gets flipped over by Enos and is like receptive to it is, I don't know, it's interesting. I thought it was interesting.
So there are some powerful symbols, or there's some powerful symbolism in this movie. Did any of those stand out to you? I have like two in mind, but I'm curious if you guys have anything that stood out to you.
The one that stands out for me is at the end of the movie. I don't know if this is symbolism. It might speak more to color palette, but it's at the end of the movie after Jack dies and is killed. Enos goes to Jack's parents to inquire about his ashes, and the Twist household is completely white. And to me, it feels like it symbolizes a few things. One, it almost seems like Enos is coming to like the pearly gates, so to speak, like the door of death, and like trying to sort of communicate with Jack in this distant way. And then the other part is like the color in his life has just been sapped out. Like all the saturation has left. That was something I really picked up on as like a main symbolic moment.
That's a great point too. I didn't even think about it, but it also kind of shows you Jack's growing up in like a world without color or in these very bland and rigid like world. Like there weren't many decorations in his room. It was very much all functional and like utility based.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on much on my first watch through because the core narrative it's good to it lends itself really well to just kind of sitting back and letting yourself be entertained by it. The ones I can think of are Beans. Beans being a just super quick sort of strip to the studs shorthand for like getting tired of the status quo. Maybe.
Yeah.
No,
I can see that. Yeah.
And then
half point.
And then the fact that Jack is a rodeo guy who rides Broncos. I think that riding Broncos is sort of a symbol. And again, I haven't fleshed this out. I haven't thought about it much. But like he does it his whole life and he just can't get a handle on it. I think it might symbolize like straightness because he does it his whole life and he can't really get a handle on it. He's all right, but he's not the greatest and he's not very good at it. He's not amazing. But then here along comes Anne Hathaway's character. She doesn't like ride Broncos in terms of like in a rodeo, but she does like an obstacle course with them. She's clearly in control of this thing and she's got like, yeah, I don't know. And then you get that one parable with Enos about, Daddy, tell us about that one time you rode the bus. And he's like, oh, it threw me 13 feet in the air, and that's the only time I rode a bus.
Yeah. I think you're onto something there in that Jack and Enos are very different cowboys in a convention, in a way.
Yeah.
Like, Jack is a cowboy in a performative way almost. Like, he literally goes and does rodeos for money. Like, it's as performance. And you could kind of see that as like his performance of straightness or his performance of masculinity in a lot of ways, whereas Enos is just sort of a cowboy and he is inherently very masculine and he's down in the dirt, he's feeding the cows, like whatever, and you could almost see those things as two emblematic ways of masculinity being performed and innate.
Yeah, and like you can see that in Enos where he falls into the very traditional masculine roles, both positive and negative. Like at the beginning, when they're getting to know each other, when he talks about his family growing up, for context, his parents were ranchers and then they died, and so he was essentially raised by his siblings. And Jack mentions that this is like the most he's talked the entire trip, and so he definitely holds that quietness, solemnness, this like do it on your own of masculinity, toxic masculinity.
Right. Yeah, and to expand on that, Jack is a sort of better at being straight, even if it is just the performance. We don't know. They're never explicitly called gay or bi or whatever. You just meant to infer. But like him and Lorene get along better than Enos and Elma. But like Enos and Elma have a lot of kids immediately, because Enos is like, oh, that's just what you do. That's innately what you do. Whereas Jack's like, I know how to make people believe.
Yeah, I'd agree that like it comes easier to him, whether that is him being able to put up the performance like the rodeo boy he is, or whether that is him being a little more bi than, strictly gay.
See, I actually think it's I think there's two prongs there. one, I think it also there's an element of like poverty in this film, and like it's sort of damaging like how it impacts relationships, because Jack has the convenience of having a wealthy wife who supports him and got him a job with her dad. They have a very comfortable life. So in a way, it's easy for Jack to daydream about this life with Enos, and because he doesn't have to worry about the same things. So the performance is easy in a way, whereas Enos has to work really hard to just put food on the table, and he's unhappy in a way that he can't escape because of the poverty. Like both him and his wife have financial strife, which hurts their relationship and how they deal with the kids and all these things. So for Enos, it's like he doesn't. His performance is strained. You know.
That reminds me of another piece of symbolism I picked up on while I was watching it, and again haven't fleshed out much, is the relationship between Texas and Wyoming, because they're used as a way to like characterize the characters and also say things about them without saying them. You know, like a symbol. Like Jack's character marries Lorene and they move to Texas, and her family's Texan. And Texas in this movie and in real life is a very performatively Southern state. They are performatively like Wild West state. They think they're like the renegades. They think they're in the back country, but really they're oil barons, and they're wealthier than like most of the fucking country, including the East Coast. They do, yeah. They're all fucking actors, and Jack marries into that, and this lifestyle that he chooses to live is like upselling who he is. Whereas Enos lives in Wyoming, he lives in the middle of nowhere. There's definitely rich parts of Wyoming. The wealth gap's huge there. I think. I don't know. I haven't verified that.
It is.
But if you're like a rancher out in the middle of buttfuck Wyoming, you're not making a whole lot of money. You're just kind of... And that relationship between those two comes up several times. Jack has the funds, the ability to go to Mexico and find a male prostitute in the meantime. You know, when he's got time, when he doesn't have time for Enos. Enos has to drop his kids off with his wife, who's at the grocery store, to go on his fishing trips with. And at one point, Jack tells Enos he should move down to Texas, but he's like, it's just not who I am.
Yeah.
For me, I think the two biggest symbols that I saw, the first one was the night after they hook up for the first time. It's a very, first of all, just dangerous situation to be in, like with, a questioning or, hyper masculine person. Like a lot of the times, people who identify themselves as straight and hook up with another guy can get that post-nut clarity and then get this shame, and then take that out on the other person as if like you did this to me or you incited me. So like scary situation to begin with. But he quietly goes up to the mountain, and he sees that one of the wolves killed the sheep. And I think that dead sheep reinforces this belief that, what they did for Enos was wrong, that it was bad, and is dangerous. We learn later on that Enos had a neighbor growing up. There were two men living together in a ranch, and that one of them was like viciously, like hate crime, beaten to death. And his dad brought him and his sibling to see this dead neighbor of theirs, and to essentially be like, this is what happens when you're gay. This is what happens when you go against society.
Dude, that's so interesting. And this is the beautiful thing about symbols, is they can pull on multiple meanings. Your interpretation of that, I totally get. That makes a lot of sense to me. When you brought it up, I immediately was like, oh yeah, I remember that scene. And I remember how I felt and how I interpreted it, which was when he sees the sheep, that's him realizing that he's been opened up. He is now a changed person. Like he's had his identity ripped open and his truth spilled all over the ground in a very visceral way.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. And that's a cool thing about symbols in film is like it's interpretive. Like the writer put that scene in for a reason, and then Ang Lee shot it a certain way for a reason, and then
Yeah.
we're three idiots talking about it 20 years later,
Chewing on it.
chewing on it,
Yeah.
chewing on the gristle.
The other symbol for me, I think it's a symbol. I think it's symbolism. But Brokeback Mountain itself, it first starts off like this is the perfect segue, or this is the perfect thing to encapsulate this theme for our podcast. But like Brokeback Mountain is bittersweet. At first, it is this escape. It is this beautiful place isolated from everybody else that you can be free to be you, and they can experience something that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to even think about exploring. And it provides an escape every 4 years they come back together or whatever. But as time goes on, it becomes kind of this reminder of this thing that they can't have, that Enos isn't willing to try because of being afraid, because of society threatening violence upon them. And it becomes this reminder of like not being enough, wanting something more, something real, and like what could have been.
Yeah.
Well, it's also their secret. It's, it's their safe haven, but it's also their secret, in a way. Brokeback becomes, prison's not the right word, but it's like it holds them there, like in that they can neither escape it and they can't talk about it. It's just, it's just so ingrained in them.
Brokeback got us look good, didn't it? The line is, I'm so bad at quoting movies.
That it's interesting you brought that up. I full-heartedly agree. The only note I wrote while watching this was an excellent choice for bittersweet movies. This shit is like the epitome of bittersweet.
Yeah.
Like you're saying like that Brokeback Mountain is this place that they can go, and it's this symbol of what they could have but can't because of all these different pressures. But there's a flip side to that, in that Brokeback Mountain is a place that to go to, you have to put your life on hold for the weekend, and you have to hide it from everyone in your life. It is in essence bittersweet. I mean, the shit that Enos does, the way he treats Elma is despicable.
Yeah.
He's a horrible person to Elma, but I mean, that's only because he can't live the life that he wants to.
That scene is like intense because it's the first time they're seeing each other since the work summer, and it's been 4 years and they're intensely making out, and you have these big emotions of like, yes, like rekindling, love is back, baby. And then she walks out and you're like, oh God. And like there are these sweet moments of them reconnecting, and then they come back and almost just sitting there with a cigarette shaking, like she's obviously been crying for hours, and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Also, Brokeback, great metaphor for getting your back blown out.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, I had to throw it in there. We can edit that out. I needed it.
Yeah. Funny enough, one of the big reasons I respect Heath Ledger, he actively, during the promotion of the movie, like there are a lot of those like easy queer or gay jokes that come up with this movie. But at the time in 2005, he like felt it was very important to not make even like little harmless jokes about it, because he's like, that's not what this is about. This is about the love, the relationship, the story. Like, good for him. He was a real one. And I think like he saw, like, because that moment in time, like it wouldn't have been bad to make those jokes, but like he saw what impact they had.
He saw the vision.
Yeah.
One thing I'll mention, which I thought was really interesting, and this is just a personal thing, my interpretation of it. The feeling that I got watching these two guys fuck off to Brokeback Mountain every 4 years, it embodied a like non-sexual feeling of just like getting away and going out into the frontier. Like obvious, of course, the movie is primarily a love story, right? But like those scenes where they're out in the mountains together and they're just hanging out and having a good time and being free to be who they want to be. When you strip the sexuality away from it, is also like it encapsulates like the reason I like to go out into the wilderness and go camping. It's that feeling is something I really enjoyed from the movie. It's like, oh fuck that. It's just sad that they don't get to just stay there forever.
Yeah, like we can't just be animals in the wilderness. We have to go back to Society Town and make money for Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, and kiss our wives on the mouth.
I shudder at the thought.
So Jack and Enos approach their queerness very differently in terms of their own acceptance of it, where they're at, what they think about it. What did you guys see as like their biggest differences between them?
I read this somewhere in a article someone wrote about the labels. Like, are they gay? Are they straight? Are they bi? You know, like, I read it somewhere that someone had, I can't remember who wrote it, but they said that Enos, they're both at least bi, but probably bi, but Enos is a little more on the straight side and Jack is a little more on the gay side of the spectrum. And I think I agree with that. Jack is a lot more vulnerable. He's a lot more willing to express how he feels verbally and physically. Enos is afraid to show his feelings even to women.
Yeah. He is very like withheld. I'm glad you brought up like labels, because they can be very helpful into describing who we are and understanding each other, but they can also like hold us back. And I think one of the cool things is like, you know, that first scene that first time they hook up, the next time that they hook up, Jack is like, come on, let's do it again. And Enos is like, I'm not a queer. And Jack's like, yeah, me neither. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah. And it's like this lack of labeling helps Enos feel free enough to explore without having this emotional baggage of like, how then do I identify myself? What does that mean for me when I go back to society?
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Enos is that it could be argued that his sexuality isn't what ruins his marriage. Because there's that scene where they're having sex, him and Elma, and she says, no, we have to stop and use protection. And he says, well, if you're not going to take my kids, then maybe you should like leave. And she says, I'll have your kids if you can support them. And that's what stops them having sex. And then it smash cuts to a divorce hearing. Like you could absolutely make the argument that like, okay, well, his sexuality has led him to a point where he can't respect his wife enough to treat her like a human being and understand her needs and, you know, be a good father, be a good husband. But it's also like maybe it just ended because financials, because a lack of respect, because Enos got into a fucking relationship way quicker than he should have, because that's how he thought life works.
She also knows he's cheating on her.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jack, is more comfortable with who he is. Like, he's resigned by what society limits him by. He dreams of a better life, obviously. It comes up a lot. But, you know, he knows who he is. So he goes to Mexico and he picks up men. He goes cruising in Mexico. because he's doesn't get to see Enos enough for him. He knows what he needs, right? He understands, and he also has this relationship with a rancher buddy guy that's sort of implied as well. Whereas Enos, his only outlet for being true to himself is Jack, but even then he can't steal himself away from the reality of life to, go see him in Texas or find a better work situation that gives him the flexibility and whatnot, because he can't even really steal his pressures of society enough to be present with his family either. So I don't think Enos really knows what he wants. He only knows what he's like supposed to do, quote unquote, which is go to work
and kiss his wife. Even after like the divorce happens, there's a scene where Jack freaking zoots it up I-25 or whatever, and is like, I heard that you got divorced. Is it time? Can we finally like do this thing that he suggested of like having a ranch together, living a life together? Like it could be like it was in Brokeback Mountain for the rest of their life. And Enos is like, that's not what I meant by that. Sorry about that. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna drive back to Texas now.
No. That shit's so sad. Watch it. You get the shot of him driving up and he's so happy. Then the conversation happens and you get the exact same shot of him driving away. He's just crying.
Yeah. Jack is definitely more comfortable with his identity. He has come to terms with it internally. And like you said, Mitch, he knows what he wants. When he's realizing things with Enos aren't working out, he momentarily goes to Mexico to find a sex worker and get some momentary satisfaction. And then we learn before the end of his life, when kind of he realizes and puts down his foot, being like, I need, like, Enos isn't going to give me what I want. I need more than a couple of high altitude fucks. Mm-hmm. And he starts developing this relationship with Hopper from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So he knows what he wants. Enos, on the other hand, is figuring it out. He's proposed, like, yes, there's the argument to be made that, like, they could not live the life they wanted to because of society. It is a lot harder, but there were still people that were successful couples in the 60s that made it work, that went to a place that, accepted queer people more, or they just were very reserved and had guns to protect themselves, but they lived out in the country and did their thing. Enos truly could have chosen to leave his wife, could have chosen to stay with Jack, but doesn't. And I think the trauma of seeing this neighbor be viciously attacked and killed really sticks with him and doesn't allow him to see anything else besides that. Both of these men are married to women and try to build traditional lives. What feelings did that bring up for you about the boys, the women, or the children in this situation?
I mean, you just feel really bad for everyone in this film at certain points. I mean, Alma especially has a really rough go of it. Enos is not a good husband, like he shirks responsibility to go off with Jack. He doesn't want to make the changes in their lives that would make Alma happy. And, she's almost just a person of convenience to him. And then later in the film, he grabs her arm and like threatens to beat her when she talks about outing him. And you can see his defense mechanisms, like, because that is like part of Enos's character, is that when he feels cornered or when he doesn't know how to feel, he becomes like, violence is something that comes to him like somewhat easily.
Yeah.
Ennis's philosophy is very much like, I have to put up with this shit. I have to put up with living my life in secret and putting up with my needs in the closet. So should you, in terms of his relationship with Elma.
You see that like violence come up to beforehand when at the end of the summer, when they're first working together, it's cut a month short because a storm is coming in, and Enos is big sad, and like Jack is trying to be like, it's all right, like we'll see each other again sometime, and tries to like hold him to console him, and Enos is like dealing with the overwhelming sadness, the I shouldn't be sad, this is a dude, I'm not gay, and ends up punching Jack in the face to like deal with all of his complex emotions. Not a good thing. No bueno.
Nope. Go to therapy.
Yeah. I do feel bad for Alma too, like she puts in, like, she knows what's going on. She is smart. She's not, like unaware of what's going on. And she like puts a note in their fishing tackle to be like, bring home a fish. Like, the girls and I love trout. And when he comes back, she looks in and it's there. It's not even wet. Like, they didn't do any fishing. She knows about it all.
She also got a little bit of a hint when she saw them making out front.
Yeah.
She also marries the cashier who is there to help her clean up the mess her kid makes.
Mm-hmm.
When fucking Enos brings his kids in, he's like, I gotta go on a fishing trip and go fuck my boyfriend. I'll be back. And she's like, shit, what the fuck? And then the kid knocks over a display and breaks a bunch of shit. And she's upset. And then the cute cashier comes over. He's like, oh, it's okay, ma'am. It's fine. And then they get married later.
Also, Princess of Genovia's character, what's her name? Laureen.
Anne Hathaway?
No, Laureen. I know her name. But, I mean, he really does find his Princess of Genovia. She's like the princess of farming tractor empire.
Yeah, true.
And of the rodeo. Their relationship is interesting. Like, I definitely feel bad for her, but part of me feels, it gives me the vibe that she's got some, she's doing some extracurriculars on her own as well. Like, they have that kind of dead marriage where they're both, I don't know, doing other things. Like, it's almost like a lavender marriage sort of feeling, but I don't know.
I think there's still like a level of respect between them that is absent in Alma and Enos's relationship. You see that they're partners in their dealing with their child, but also, they work at the same place and things. I mean, Jack does say their marriage could be done over the phone, basically, which kind of speaks to how dead the relationship is. But, I mean, there's a scene where they're having, like, Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, and Jack's father-in-law is, like, keeps, like, turning the TV back on, even though Lorraine said, turn it off. And they go back and forth, and Jack dresses her dad down in front of the whole family, and she's like, that's my man. Like, there's still like something there that they were partners. Maybe the love was gone, the like spark, but they were still a team.
That was an excellent scene. I loved that.
Sit down, you old son of a bitch.
They're communicating through postcards. And Enos receives a postcard from Jack that is stamped deceased. He then ends up calling Laureen and asking what happened. Laureen states that he was off the side of a highway and was trying to change a tire and exploded in his face, killing him. But we cut through to a scene of him being beaten to death by several men. He then goes through the end of the movie dealing with Jack's ashes, etc. At the end of the movie, do you think that Enos will be able to find love after this? That Enos will be able to be himself? Or do you think he's stuck on Brokeback?
I don't think he's
I think it's
find
hard
love.
to imagine him finding happiness considering his track record with relationships. I mean, the only spark we really see that maybe there's still a bit of like love in his heart and is that he says that, he's talking to his daughter who's about to get married, and he says he has a big thing he has to do during her wedding. And then he's like, but I figure they can find another cowboy. You know, like, it shows that he's grown, that maybe there's something there for him in the future, that he's, you know, knows maybe a little more what's important in life. But I still think it's really hard to say.
That gives me a little bit of hope. And then him going to Jack's house and, you know, Jack's dad being kind of a shitty person and being like, he's going to be buried in the farmer's or in our family plot. Like, I don't care what his wishes were. But his mom being sweet to Enos, I think was kind of healing, and like her packing up his clothes for him maybe does a little bit of healing the inner child. But I also think that I'd love to think that he could, you know, find love after this, but I think he might develop a better relationship with his children, and that's the best he can hope for.
Yeah.
Last question that I have. There is a long history of queer stories ending in tragedy, sometimes called like a tragic gay trope. Are you familiar with that? And what are the good and harmful aspects of this trope?
I'm not familiar with this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with it. And I think sometimes this movie is talked about in the lens of the trope.
For sure.
As far as the harm in it, I think it can be confining to what the gay experience is that it's always about suffering. You know, there's like a lot of joy in gay people. I love some gay people.
Yeah.
There's some gay people in my life that I love that are very joyous. And
Who are you talking about?
some other person. I don't. Yeah, that it's limiting that to only show the tragedy. On the other hand, I think it's important to recognize and depict the actual dangers and hardships that people face. I think it's about sort of the hand and the craft and how the story is told, whether it's in good or bad taste. In this film's case, I think it was important when it came out, and it's important now, and it speaks to the time in which the film is set as well, like the true dangers of the gay experience or the queer experience in the time period.
Yeah. Well put. I completely agree. Like, it is a trope because it was initially the way that mainstream society was more comfortable with having a movie that is focused on queer life, of seeing all of the hard-hitting truths and some of the, like, recognizing the struggles that queer people have to go through that some people might not have understood, and the dangers that they have to go through. But also it can be, harmful if that is the only representation that is out there. I remember growing up, after seeing this movie, like, again, it did wonders for me. At the same time, I was like, that is the highest form of like a relationship I can dream of this secret thing that can only be had every once in a while. Like, that is the most I can expect. And so without any representation of seeing queer joy, young kids might not know what life can hold. But I do think it is important to talk about the tragedy and real situations that go on. I think this movie also harkens a lot back to like a real world experience of I believe it was 1997, of Matthew Shepard, who was a queer kid from going to, Wyoming University in Casper? Is it Wyoming University? University of Wyoming?
Yeah, well, the U of W is in Laramie, but whatever. I don't know where it happened, but I know what the incident you're talking about.
Yeah, he was beaten to death for being gay. That happened in 1997, not in 1960. So still a real thing that happens, and good to know about.
Yeah, and not too far from when this film came out, 10 years later or whatever. It's not like it's not like the millennium changed and Wyoming became the biggest pride state in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is all of my questions. Do you guys have any questions or scenes or things you want to mention?
So I did want to talk about very briefly before we move on to ratings and unhinged reviews and such. The scene where Jack is in Mexico. It was very apropos that your movie is this, and then next week we're watching Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love, because the scene in Mexico is a definite homage to In the Mood for Love, which came out 4 years prior to this film.
Cool.
If you pick up on the song that's playing when Jack's in Mexico, Quizás, perhaps, it is a big central song in the Mood for Love, and it felt very. It also, I think, is in Happy Together, which was Wong Kar-wai's film about two gay men experience. It very much felt like a huge Wong Kar-wai shout out there. So I thought it was very apropos rewatching this film, seeing that moment, and I instantly clocked the Wong Kar-wai reference.
That's cool. That's so cool. I love seeing references, and also I'm excited because I have not seen a Wong Kar-wai movie before, I don't believe. So excited for next week for sure.
The other thing I would say to listeners, if you like Brokeback and are curious about a similar time period queer cinema, check out Happy Together. It's a really beautiful film, and I think plays in a similar space, but maybe is a little more lighthearted than Brokeback in certain ways. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Final thoughts and ratings. Let's move on to our final thoughts and ratings. Oh, God. It's really good. Brokeback Mountain is a really, really good movie. There's a lot more going on than you think might be going on. It's even more elaborate than like a love story. There's a lot of themes going on here about like outdoorsiness, accepting yourself, ruggedness, masculinity, family. It's a dense movie, and really truly unique in the feelings it elicits, where you get intense moments of just the bullshit of life intersected by these brief spurts of fucking off to Brokeback Mountain and having a great time. A lot of the shit really resonated with me. There's only a small lull in the middle that really I didn't like, but other than that, I thought it was end to end fantastic. Very quotable too. Lots of really good lines.
Yeah.
Also, a fucking amazing soundtrack. We didn't talk about the soundtrack.
Yeah,
Oh,
music's
yeah.
great.
The music is really, really good. Super subtle too. It's just like a steel guitar playing a little melody, and the melodies reflect what's going on in the movie. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's a very comprehensive movie. There really isn't a single part of it that I could think would need any work. The only thing I think of is that scene where they're having their falling out, and Jack's like, I can't deal with a couple altitude highs who fucks every year. His jacket is too much. It's too much. It's too much. And I'll say,
Well, he's rich now. He's rich now. He's rich. Rich people are too much.
God damn it, Lorene.
I don't like.
Where's my parka?
I don't like his jacket. I think he should have been wearing a different one. And you can tell Ang Lee I said that.
Ang Lee, you hear him?
8 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10. Really good movie.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
I loved this film. I think I appreciate it so much more now that I'm older, a little wiser. There's a lot more for me to dig into than when I was a dumb teenager, you know. Stories about marriage, about love, sacrifice, all these things. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a triumph even. So for me, it's a 9 out.
Oh my
out of
God,
10
he
for
said
me,
it.
boys.
Oh my God. Yeah, this movie is, like Ben said, very comprehensive. Beautiful scenery of Alberta, Wyoming. Amazing soundtrack. Great acting. I think this is a huge, crazy good performance from Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal, and the entire cast. I watched this a long time ago, and it meant something to me then. And watching it this time through, I cried a lot. It was a lot of fun to watch it as an adult and see it in a different lens. And I knew I was going to enjoy this watch, but I didn't know how hard it was going to hit. I think this is another 10 out of 10 for me, a personal 10.
Yay.
Good movie.
High
So we're in
scores
agreement that
across the
Brokeback
board.
Mountain is a good movie.
It's a good
Yeah,
movie.
solid.
You should watch it.
Yeah,
All right.
9 average.
Yeah, I'll live with that. Yeah. You guys know what time it is?
I
time is
know
it,
what
Daddy?
time it is.
Where we scour the high sea to find the most ludicrous, wild, and crazy unhinged reviews that we can fucking source from this cesspool of an internet.
I know that's right.
Yeah, we were in the muck this week, boys. Whew.
Yeah.
A lot of homophobia to comb through to find the gems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's to be expected. It's the goddamn internet.
With like any queer film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking morons. Yeah, mine's pretty good. I don't care where I go in this order.
I can go first. I don't feel particularly strong about what I dredged from the pits this week. This comes from Letterboxd user Jur JAPP.
Yeah, nice.
They rated it half a star, but also gave it a like. So I don't know where they get confusing.
What?
I didn't even see any action. What do they think? I'm 5. When I'm going to see a pro-gay movie, I want to see some action. I want to see guys getting blowjobs. I want to see some 69s. I am not gay. I'm just saying it like it is.
Amen, brother. Amen. That's so funny. That's a good one.
I kind of agree with him.
I just think it's funny because it's like sort of like the no homo at the end there with like, I'm not gay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it like it is.
Just sell what you say you're selling.
Yeah.
That's what Ina said, and we all know what's going on there. I'm not a queer. I just want to see some blowjobs and 69s.
I'll be even there wasn't a whole lot of nudity in that first scene where they fuck in the tent, but it was intense. It was intense.
Hey. I enjoyed that, Ben. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Mine comes from Letterboxd user Alexander Sheriff. They rated Brokeback Mountain a half star. Oh boy, I'm gonna get it for this one. I thought that the ideas presented were excellent. This film really caught me in the second half, and I fell in love with the characters there. But that was the second half. I thought the initial romance stuff was not only boring, but way too fast. Like, come on, I wasn't even in the mood yet. The whole startup until the 4-year kiss gave me less to work with than I hoped it would. Jake's performance was only okay in my opinion up until then. He just didn't have what I thought he assumed he did. My score might seem a bit low, but that's probably because the lack of and/or watching by a certain Zach I know. That's right, it's your fault this didn't get 4. Once you report back having finished the show, I'll raise the score. Ha 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 ha.
What the fuck?
I love a
I
hostage
don't.
review.
Okay. Okay. All right. Mine is from Metacritic user QB Coach Gonzo. who gave it 0. Here's the reasoning. Cowboy Western attempt to make something that really doesn't fly and you would never see outside of Hollywood. Gays are real and they are nice people. However, if you're looking for a gay bud to kick it with, you're not going to find much at a redneck 4-H rodeo or bucking Broncos bull riding club. Just a story that doesn't follow real life. This is coming from a gay guy in North Idaho who hides from cowboys because there isn't a real Brokeback out there.
That's so fucking wrong, though. Cowboys are some of the gayest people out there because they had freedom from the law and freedom from society.
Hell yeah. His fucking reasoning is that it's not realistic because the gays aren't repressed enough.
Well, lads, it's been an episode.
Yeah, that was an episode. Tune in next week where we watch Mitch's pick.
In the mood for love.
Bye.
Thanks, dear listeners. Kisses.
Yeah, fuck you. Just kidding. I'm just
I
kidding.
wish I knew how to quit you.